Are you worried that your partner might be losing interest? It's a daunting question that lurks in the corners of our minds when the dynamics of a relationship seem to shift. Recognizing this early can be the key to fostering healthy, sustainable relationships. It allows us to address issues, to communicate, and to understand each other better. If you're starting to feel that something is off, it might be time to look out for these 10 signs. The first sign to watch out for is a breakdown in communication. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship, and when it starts to dwindle, it's often a sign that something's amiss. This could manifest as a decrease in the frequency of your conversations. Perhaps you used to chat every day, but now you're lucky if you exchange a few texts in a week. But it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. If your once deep and meaningful conversations have become more superficial, this may be a red flag. You might find that your partner is less willing to engage in heartfelt discussions about their day, their feelings, or their thoughts. Communication breakdown doesn't always mean a loss of interest. It could also indicate that your partner is going through a difficult time, but if this pattern persists, it might be a sign that your partner's interest is waning. Another key sign is a decrease in quality time spent together. In any strong relationship, spending time together is not just about being in the same room. It's about engaging with each other, sharing experiences, and creating memories. When these moments start to dwindle, it may be a sign of dwindling interest as well. It's important to note that it's not just about the quantity of time spent together, but the quality. If you're finding that your usual movie nights or dinner dates are being replaced with silence or distraction, it's worth taking notice. Of course, everyone has busy periods, and it's perfectly normal for the time spent together to fluctuate, but if you notice a consistent pattern where your partner seems to be choosing other activities over spending time with you, without any external factors like work or family obligations, as a reason, it might be indicative of a loss of interest. If your partner is consistently choosing to do other things over spending time with you, it might be time to talk. The third sign is a lack of future plans. When you're in a fulfilling relationship, you naturally look forward to the future. You talk about vacations, buying a house, maybe even starting a family. But when your partner starts to lose interest, these conversations can suddenly become scarce. You might notice they shy away from discussing anything beyond the immediate future. Remember, it's not about planning every minute detail of your lives together, it's about having a shared vision, a mutual understanding that you both are committed to a future together. If your partner starts to avoid these discussions, it may indicate that they're unsure about the relationship's longevity. It's also important to consider the context. If you're both going through a stressful time, it's normal to focus on the present, but if there's no apparent reason for this shift in mindset, it might be worth addressing. If you find that your partner is hesitant to plan for the future, it could be a sign that they're losing interest. Sign number 4 is a decrease in physical intimacy. Physical affection is the language of love that goes beyond words. It's the hugs, the kisses, the holding of hands, the touch that communicates love, affection, and interest in your partner. However, if these gestures of affection start to wane, it might be a signal that your partner's interest is fading. A decrease in physical intimacy is not always about the carnal aspects of a relationship. It's also about the small gestures that make you feel connected and cherished. If you start to feel like a roommate rather than a romantic partner, it's worth taking note of. Remember, everyone has off days or periods where they're less affectionate. But if the decrease in physical intimacy is consistent and doesn't seem tied to other aspects like stress or health issues, it's a sign worth paying attention to. If you notice a significant drop in physical intimacy, it might be a cause for concern. The fifth sign is increased criticism. When love is in the air, we tend to see our partner through rose-colored glasses. Their quirks aren't just tolerable, but downright endearing. But as interest wanes, those same quirks might start to grate. Your partner might begin to nitpick, turning minor issues into major problems. Everything from the way you chew your food to how you leave your shoes in the hallway could become a bone of contention. An increase in criticism could be a manifestation of underlying dissatisfaction. It's not necessarily about the shoes or the chewing, it's about a shift in feelings. Constructive criticism is a healthy part of any relationship. But when criticism becomes constant and unconstructive, it's often a sign of deeper issues. It's not about finding fault in you, as much as it's about them grappling with their changing emotions. If your partner is suddenly more critical of you, it could be a sign that they're losing interest. Sign 6 is the avoidance of serious conversations. Now, we all have those days where we'd rather chat about the latest movie or a funny meme than dive into deep philosophical or emotional discussions. But if your partner consistently sidesteps meaningful dialogue, it could indicate a loss of interest. They might change the subject abruptly when you bring up topics of substance or become vague and non-committal in their responses. This could be about anything from discussing future plans to expressing feelings or addressing concerns within the relationship. The avoidance of serious conversations is like putting a band-aid on a festering wound. It might cover up the problem for a while, but it doesn't address the underlying issue. Communication is the lifeblood of a relationship. When it dries up, the bond between partners can wither. So take note, if your partner is avoiding serious conversations, it could be a sign of dwindling interest. The seventh sign is less effort in the relationship. Effort is the glue that holds a relationship together. It's the little things like remembering important dates, the good morning texts, and the small sacrifices that show they care. When your partner starts losing interest, you might notice a decline in these efforts. The thoughtful gestures may become few and far between. Their attention might drift during conversations, or they might not be as keen to make plans. They might even stop doing things they know you love. It's like they've taken their foot off the relationship accelerator, and that can feel pretty hurtful. It's important to remember, however, that such changes don't always mean the end. It could be a phase, or it could be a sign that something's not right. Communication is key. If you notice your partner putting in less effort, it might be a sign that they're losing interest. Sign 8 is feeling like an afterthought. This feeling isn't just about being left out of plans or forgotten in conversations. It's a deeper sense of being sidelined, like you're a backup plan rather than a priority. Imagine this scenario. You're always the one to initiate conversations or plan outings. When you're together, your partner seems distracted or disinterested. It's as if they're physically present, but mentally they're somewhere else. You find yourself constantly vying for their attention, but it feels like you're chasing a mirage. This feeling of being an afterthought can seep into all aspects of your relationship, making you question your worth and your place in your partner's life. It's a sign that's hard to ignore and can be quite disheartening. Remember, in a healthy relationship, both partners should feel valued and prioritized. If you're feeling like a plan B or an afterthought, it's time to have a serious conversation. Feeling like an afterthought can be a clear indication that your partner's interest is fading. The ninth sign is no longer being a priority. It's a subtle shift, one that often creeps in unnoticed until one day you realize you're not the main act but a sideshow in your partner's life. We all get busy, and it's normal for priorities to change. But if you consistently feel like you've been bumped down the pecking order, it might be a sign that your partner's interest is diminishing. A partner who is invested in the relationship will make an effort to include you in their plans and decisions. They will make time for you, even when life gets hectic, but when the interest fades, so does the effort. Suddenly, their schedule is filled with activities that don't involve you. You find yourself waiting for them to have free time. It's a painful realization, but one that's important to acknowledge. If you feel like you're no longer a priority, it could be a sign that your partner's interest is waning. The 10th and final sign is to trust your gut. Your intuition is a powerful tool, and often it's the first to pick up on subtle changes in your partner's behavior. If you're feeling uneasy or something just seems off, don't dismiss it. It's your subconscious mind picking up on signals that your conscious mind may have missed. Your gut feeling is more than just a hunch, it's an insight into your relationship's dynamics. If something doesn't feel right, trust your intuition. It could be a sign that your partner is losing interest. Now that we've gone through the 10 signs your partner might be losing interest, it's important to remember that these are just signs, not definitive proof. We've discussed everything from breakdowns in communication to feeling like an afterthought. All these signs might be red flags pointing to a potential issue, but they're not conclusive evidence. Let's quickly recap. Communication breakdown, less quality time, lack of future plans, decreased physical intimacy, increased criticism, avoidance of serious conversations, less effort in the relationship, feeling like an afterthought, no longer being a priority, and trusting your gut. These signs are indicators, not definitive answers. They are meant to guide you, to make you aware, and to help you navigate your relationship. It's crucial to remember that every relationship has its ups and downs, and these signs could merely be temporary. Remember, communication is key. If you notice these signs, it might be time to have an open and honest conversation with your partner.